I wanted to talk about today how people usually underestimate running. They tend to connect it with dieting or weight loss. However, running is much more than that, and running can be much harder than that. And because of it, I wanted to break it down into five key takeaways. The first one being is fitness is specific, not universal. Usually, people who are already fit tend to overestimate running because being fit in one discipline doesn't transfer fully to running. And running basically trains different kind of muscles, different kind of energy system, different sustained demand. Cardiovascular energy and cardiovascular base definitely helps, but it doesn't transfer fully, and that's just how adaptation works. And basically, I want to address the elephant in the room immediately, and that's the second takeaway. Your ego is your biggest obstacle. As I said, people underestimate running and they start too fast, either because they feel ready or because it feels too easy for them. But after a couple of runs, they will usually complain about knee pains, shin splints, or any other uncomfortable pain. And that's because running is governed by tendons, joints, and any other connective tissues, and they adapt much slower than muscles and lungs do. So the mistake these athletes do is mostly because they don't respect the learning curve of the running. And I would say that the next time you go out for a run, put your ego aside, start slowly, and even if it feels embarrassingly slow, just start slowly and you should trust the process. And that brings us to the third takeaway, the run and walk method. This method isn't only for beginners, this is for everyone who is starting fresh. And as I mentioned a minute ago, you shouldn't go out and just start running, especially if you haven't run in a while. I'm sure that you have enough energy to run a 5K a couple of times, but your tendons will not appreciate it and you will probably pay for it later. So my suggestion is to go out and do an alternating running and walking intervals. I think that that's a smart entry point for every fitness level because that's reducing injury and builds the right tissues and pace. And I think that skipping this slow and boring step will have a bad effect later on you. So basically you will fail. I would say that you need to trust the process to embrace this slow pace, and your heart rate and pace will build up later on. So you just need to stick to the plan, start slow, and you will get better eventually. Now, if you have been wondering what you should do and track in the first 4 weeks, let's talk about the fourth takeaway. Focus on time on fit. At the beginning, feel free to ignore the pace and distance. Focus on the effort level. It should be conversational pacing. Focus on the time on feet and how your legs feel 48 hours after your run. Those signals will matter most than any number on your watch. Basically, start small, increase the effort level by 10% week by week, and eventually you will build out your endurance. Lastly, let's talk about the fifth takeaway. Patience is really important. As with everything in life, consistency is key. And you can't get better at something if you don't practice. With running, it's no different. Running rewards people who slow down and build gradually, and I know that it can feel a bit counterintuitive for people who used to push hard every session, but if you neglect the pace phase and skip the slow, boring runs and start hard from the beginning, you will be sidelined in probably 2 weeks. Therefore, the only smart move is to treat this as a new sport, because it is, and don't feel like it will be a setback if you start slow. It should be your strategy. And as a last note, I wanted to say that running can be fun and can be easy, but if you do it the right way and long enough, so your body gets used to it. Give yourself time and the results will come. And lastly, if you have any questions regarding running or general fitness, let me know in the comments, and speak soon.